6,000 kilometers, exacto. Hi, welcome back. So it's about a year since I purchased this Ducati Hyperstrada. Remind you, this is a 2014 model and it's now 2022. No? So medyo, this is an old motorcycle. This is an 8-year-old motorcycle, but I bought this from a friend, slightly used, meaning he rarely used it. Look at the mileage on this one. This is just 6,000. This thing has just run 6,000 kilometers. I'm just going to do a quick review about it because this is one of those motorcycles na pag tinanong ako, anong klase motor mo? Ang hirap explain. Is it an adventure? Is it a super motard? Is it a sport bike? Is it a tourer? Because it doesn't fit one specifically eh. Parang siyang walang ano eh. You don't know what the actual description for this bike is, but the history of the Hyperstrada is basically a bike based on the Hypermotard. No, so a Hypermotard is Ducati's version of the Supermotard. Supermotard is an enduro bike that was converted for street use. So meaning what they did is they usually put a firmer suspension, they put on street tires, on smaller rims. Kasi usually, di ba, ang enduro 18 at the back, and then they put 19 or 21 up front. But with Supermoto, what they do is they use street or sport motorcycle tires. So usually it's 17 front and rear. So that is what a motard is. So it's an enduro made for the street. So Ducati came out with the Hypermotard, the one that Tom Cruise made famous in one of his movies. This was back in the mid 2000, which is they came out with the Hypermotard 1100 and the 796, I think. And then 2013 or the second gen, they came out, and then this second gen is when they came out with the Hyperstrada. So the Hyperstrada is based on the Hypermotard. In fact, it uses the same chassis, it uses the same engine, it uses pretty much everything except the Strada was made for what they call touring. That's why they call it the Strada, similar to their Multistrada. So for it to become more touring oriented motorcycle, what they did is they put, for one, a more comfortable and lower seat. They lowered the suspension a little bit front and back. I think they lowered it by an inch. So the seat height of this one is more manageable, but not low. This one has an 835 mm or around 32, almost 33 inches. So I am actually tiptoe on this, and I have, well, I'm not really tall. I'm below 5'8". So it, in terms of size of the bike, this fits me perfectly, except though that I have to tiptoe, which is, I don't mind. I'm used to it already. It's not really scary anymore for me. I can tiptoe with both feet, so that's good. I would be afraid if I can only tiptoe with one. Since I can tiptoe with both, that's okay. So this one uses the same 821cc engine, which is pretty powerful, has 110 bhp and around 90 newton meters of torque. So this is how powerful the torque of this I'm in 6th gear running at around 60 kilometers per hour. At top gear without downshifting, I can just whack the throttle and have all the power on standby. So, and this is an L twin, as you can hear the sound of it. Remember, this is why I fell in love with this motorcycle. It's because of this L. Well, theoretically it's a V twin, but they call it an L twin. And that's the characteristics of an L or a V twin. Is the sound that it produces is really, it's really nice. Ganda ng thump niya. So it has a very powerful engine, really strong torque. So this thing is not something I would suggest for beginners. Medyo scary siya kasi when you twist the throttle of this one, it will try to wheelie. Buti na lang this particular series of Ducatis already come with safety like ABS and traction control. So the traction control will actually prevent it from doing a wheelie. I'm not sure. I know you cannot turn it off, but you can lower the setting of the traction control. So this one in particular, since this model has a fly-by-wire throttle, meaning it has an electronic throttle, doesn't use a cable throttle. It has different riding modes. It has sport. I am on touring now. It has sport, touring, and urban. So with the urban setting, it cuts off the engine to around 70% of its power, making it safer, especially if you're just around town. And then what my favorite is, I set it to touring, which I get the max power, but the throttle is not that sensitive. In sport mode, this is where traction control is less, ABS is less, and power is max, and the throttle is very sensitive, meaning ano siya, small twist, it will actually bring you and accelerate really quick.
So to show you the different riding modes, you have sport, touring, and urban. So to select the mode, go to the one that you want, like sport, and then press the button here until it actually goes to sport. So in sport mode, traction control is set to number 3, ABS set to number 1, which is the minimum. And then if you want to go touring, press long, it will activate touring. Traction control is now up to 4, and ABS is now level 2. There we go. So your only control is this button here on the left side.
Tell you what's the difference between the Hyper Motard and the Hyperstrada. So what makes it into a touring? So what Ducati did is they lowered the suspension, add the windscreen, put on a lower seat and a more comfortable seat. Kasi yung sa Hyper Motard, it's a flat seat na mataas, and then it's a little bit harder. It comes with grab rails. If you notice, there's grab rails here at the back, and it comes with two semi-hard luggages or side panniers. No, they comes with side luggages that is actually locks using the original key. I will demonstrate that in another video.
So this is the side luggage that comes with this bike. The issue lang I have with this is not waterproof, but they actually provide you with a waterproof bag inside, so to make sure your stuff doesn't get wet. So the zippers, you need to provide your own lock, but the luggages are secure. You'd actually need the original key to remove them, and it's very easy. All you have to do to remove them, turn and then pull up. That's it. And then if you're gonna put them back, all you have to do is, if you see these three guides here and there's three attachment points here with the three hooks here, all you have to do is align that. So align, and then you will hear a click. So align the three. There, when you hear the click, that's it. It's now secure. So that's how easy it is. And this comes stock with the Hyperstrada.
So this is their touring version, but yun nga, it's a touring version. It's what you would consider maybe like a sports tourer, but it's not really a sports tourer because hindi ka nakadapa like a typical sports touring bike. And it's not really an adventure bike because it lacks the suspension travel, and even the tires that come with it is not the more aggressive tires that you would usually associate with adventure. But it does come with dual purpose tire, the Pirelli Scorpion Trail. But the thing here is, I like how you sit on this bike. It is really a very comfortable sitting bike. You sit like an enduro. If you want to be more sporty, you can easily tuck down if you want to. And then if you want to be adventure, you can actually be standing up on this one, and it's still comfortable to use. Diba? It still has enough ground clearance if you need to do very light trail na off-road. So okay naman siya. And overall, this one has a nice engine. Para siyang jack of all trades kind of motorcycle. Pwede siyang, it can play around with the sports bikes. It can play around with the adventure bikes. It can tour together with the sport touring bikes. And it's still considered also something like a naked bike because it doesn't really have any fairings. Now, if there's some few things that I don't like about this bike is medyo mainit siya for when you get in stuck in traffic because of as compared to other bikes, especially like the Japanese, the inline fours, where the cylinder heads are all in front, right below the gas tank, so it's closer to the front tire. The problem with the V-twin is one of the cylinder is right here under you, or where your crotch is, so it gets really hot. Now, so pag natatraffic ka dito, it can get really hot. Good thing this is a liquid cooled, so medyo natutulungan ka na may hangin, may flow, but it's still relatively hot here. So if I'm not wearing any thick jeans, mainit talaga. But the heat is manageable when you're not in traffic. Kaya nga, ang problema ko dito is really not designed for traffic. Now this may have an 800 cc bike, but this is not a big motorcycle. The size of this physically, medyo ano siya, isipin mo, I'm not a tall person, but the reach is just right. I have a nice bend. I'm not reaching too far forward. I'm not too far from the pegs. I have a natural bend on my feet. I don't feel like it's too long for me. It's perfect. So yun nga, major complaint also with a lot of usually the Caucasian users. Remember, these are usually mga matatangkad, mga 6-footers. Is naliliitan sila dito sa motorcycle na to. So this is a small motorcycle. In fact, it's sized closer to most of the 650 to 700 cc motorcycles. Is something like the MT-07, the Trident 660, the Kawasaki 650, what do you call that naked 650 they have? No, not the Ninja, but I think the Z650. So yun yung ano nila dito na maliit. Pero for me, not being a big person, this is perfect sized for me. Diba? And the suspension travel is perfect for Philippine roads. Wala kang takot malubak. Very comfortable. Pag may malaking lubak, itayo mo lang. Brakes of this is really strong. It has twin 320mm Brembo brakes up front. A Brembo also disc brakes in the rear. ABS, traction control. So this is a very nice and safe motorcycle. One thing else that I don't like about this bike, since I guess I don't know if it's because it's a 2014 model, but it doesn't have a gear indicator. So minsan ang hirap, di mo alam kung anong gear ka, kapa. Ang nagiging problem ko with not having a gear indicator is usually when I'm on the 6-speed. Kasi minsan pag umahataw ka, feeling mo kahit gusto pwede ka pa mag-shift pag tingin mo. And then pag try mo, since walang gear indicator, you don't know you're already on 6. So you shift to 6, tapos wala na, nasa 6 ka na pala. So I wish this one had a gear indicator. I can put aftermarket, but it's too expensive, so okay na ako nang wala. I'll just live with it. No? So what else do I don't like about this? For a bike that is called a touring, made for touring, it sure has a really small gas tank. This one only has 16 liters. So if you're going to compare it to the other 650 touring, like I think the Versys 650, they have over 20 liters. Ito pang motor na to, medyo matakaw din to sa gas eh. In a full tank of gas, the fuel warning, or the low fuel warning light is going to light up at around 180 kilometers. So ang farthest that I've gone before doing a refuel is around a little over 200, pero kinakabahan ako nun. Pero parang for a touring bike, 16 liters is not much. Diba? Parang ang konti nun, 16 liters na fuel. So those are some of the concern. But since marami namang gas stations here, so yun, pagas ka lang ng pagas, yun lang. If you're riding as a group, ikaw ang palaging unang titigil para magpagas. Grabe yung hump dyan talaga, sayad na naman. Oh, another thing that this thing has that the Hypermotor doesn't is it has a center stand, but I actually removed it already. Yung mga humps kasi natin dito sa Pilipinas at tataas, palaging sumasayad. So I decided to just remove it. And naiwan na lang nga yung mounting plate na lang ng center stand. Sumasayad pa sa mga humps. So thank you again guys for listening in. And if you haven't, I hope you do like and subscribe. Bye. Thank you.